To start our mini project, we're going to need a blank Cloud9 workspace. We've called ours Django-blog. Now we'll just go ahead and get the workspace set up using the same techniques that we did earlier. If you're already familiar with this, then you can skip these and move ahead to the next video. Now that we've set up our workspace to use Python 3, we'll use the mkvirtualenv command to create a virtual environment which we'll call foo. As you can see, that installs everything that's needed and activates that virtual environment. Now that that's activated, we can go ahead and install Django by using pip install Django. And once Django is installed, let's create our first requirements.txt file by using pip freeze and redirecting the output to requirements.txt. Okay, so now we can create our blog project. So to do this, we'll use Django admin start project, we'll call it blog, and because we're using a full stop at the end here, that means it will create the project in the root directory. And we can see in the left pane that that's been created. Now our manage.py file isn't executable yet, so let's change its mode, adding the executable flag so that we can run it. And when that's done, let's run it and with the migrate command so that we can initialize our database and get the tables ready. Okay, now that's done, let's try running our server and see what happens. So again, we'll use manage.py, the run server command, and the IP and the port environment variables. Cloud9 tells us it's running, but when we click on it, we get an error. And what's the error saying? That it's an invalid HTTP host. We need to add our host name to the allowed hosts array in settings. So let's go ahead and do that. We'll just copy what we have here. Then in our blog folder, let's open the settings.py file, scroll down to allowed hosts, and paste our host name in there. Now, when we save it and refresh, then we can see that Django now works. So as yet, we don't have any apps, we don't have any URLs, and we'll get to work in a few minutes doing that. But first of all, let's set up Git and also set up our Travis integration. So we'll close the server here. And first of all, we'll just edit our readme.md file and get rid of all of this Cloud9 boilerplate. We'll add a simple heading, DjangoBlogMiniProject, and a brief description, a simple blog app written using Django. Okay, let's save that and go back to our terminal, and now we're going to initialize Git. So remember to do that, we use git space init, and we have an empty Git repository initialized. Now we want a git ignore file because there are certain files that we don't want to go up to GitHub. And remember that there are several ways we can create that. We're going to create it from the command line here using the echo command. So first of all, we want to exclude any files that end in SQLite 3. So that means that our database won't be uploaded. We then put a \n for a new line. We don't want any of the Python bytecode files, so we exclude everything that's a PYC file. Another new line. We don't want our Cloud9 directory. And we also don't want the PyCache directory that's being created here either. So we'll do that. Then we redirect the output of our echo command to a .git ignore file, which is now being created for us. And if we now run git status, we can see the files that are going to be added and then committed. And they don't include our database, they don't include the PyCache directory or anything like that. So git add full stop to add all the files, then git commit -m, and the message we'll give is created simple Django project. So that's now committed locally. Let's create our GitHub repository. So open up GitHub and create a new repository. I'm calling this Django blog. You can see I've done that before. And we'll call it a simple Django blog app in the description. We don't need a README or anything else, so we can just go right ahead and click Create Repository. Now we're going to use SSH, but if you're using HTTPS, then just click on the button here to change the links. And I'm going to copy and paste these lines to push an existing repository. Okay, can't use the context menu, so just Control V. So we've added our origin, we're pushing it up to the master on GitHub. And now if we scroll back to the top and look at the Django blog, then as we can see, all of our files are there. Okay, so we're nearly done. But before we finish, let's get everything integrating properly with Travis so that we can do continuous integration testing. So go to the web address, travis-ci.org, and then click Sign in with GitHub. Now it will probably ask you to trust the credentials there. I've already done this, so it's not asking me again. And when you've signed in, click on your name and the Accounts menu. Then we can scroll down the list of available repositories and hit the toggle switch there on our Django blog repository. So this is going to synchronize it with Travis. Now that we've done that, we can click on the repository name again, because what we actually want to do now is to grab some markup here. At the moment, we've no builds for the repository yet, but what we want to do is click on where it says Build Unknown, then choose Markdown from the drop-down menu, and copy the code that appears. We're going to put this in our readme.md file. And this is going to allow us to continually keep track of whether our project is passing the tests or not. So just go right ahead, paste it in at the bottom of our README file. We'll save that. And now we'll create a new file to allow us to integrate with Travis. It's called .travis.yml. So open that up and we'll just put some markup in here as well. So the language is Python. The version that we're using is Python 3.4. Then our install script command is pip install -r, and then our requirements.txt file. And the script to run it, we pass a secret key here. We don't actually need to put our secret key in because we're just passing a dummy one. This is for when we hide our secret key on Heroku. And then manage.py test. Okay. So let's save all of our files. Now that we've created that, we'll go back to our terminal window. A quick git status just to see what's going on. Yep, we've modified the readme.md file and we've created .travis.yml. So let's add both of those to git. And now we can commit that with the message of the repo has been synced with Travis. And let's now push this up to GitHub, git push. Okay, so when we now check our repository on GitHub, we can see, we'll just refresh it here, that in our README file, we now have build passing. So all of the Travis continuous integration tests are passed. Now we can go ahead and create our first app, and we'll do that in the next video.